What is going on, everybody? Welcome into a championship episode of the Tuesday Track Talk podcast, episode number 59, featuring your Three Stones pit crew. I'm your gas man, Cam.
I'm your jack man, Kellen.
And I'm your tire changer, Cam.
And as I hit it in the intro, we got a championship episode on deck for you this week. Crowned some champions this past weekend across the country, from the World Finals in the World Outlaws all the way to Phoenix with the all three NASCAR Cup Series, from the Trucks, Xfinity, and Cups. So we got a lot to talk about today. And before we get talking racing, as we always do, just do a quick check-in. How we doing, boys?
Good.
Yeah.
I just hate the getting to work in the dark and leaving work in the dark.
Yep.
But that's from now until March, so I might as well just get used to it because it ain't going to change.
Yep.
So.
No, I just I got to go home this weekend. Got to spend it with Grandpa and watch some racing, and yeah, went from there basically.
Sweet.
Yeah. Kellen and I had the whole family together this past weekend in La Crosse watching some championship bull riding. So
some rodeo.
Yeah, third year for us doing that. So fun thing to watch, and those are it's a sketchy sport, but fun to watch. So yeah, it's a good time. And yeah, it's dark when you wake up, dark when you get home. Sucks, but at least we don't have snow yet. So
yeah,
it's coming.
Anyways, well, you guys want to get into some racing talk?
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, we got a lot of championships.
All right. Yeah, so let's hop in here. First race we're going to talk about here happened since the last time we had recorded, but last Tuesday we had a big race. We had the presidential race, and no, I'm kidding. We're not going to.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
I thought I was going to go a little off script on you guys.
No,
that was a big race, but we're not here to talk politics, so we'll bite our tongue. So let's get into some actual racing with a little gas pedal and brakes. So let's get into the Dirt Track World Finals at Charlotte. Again, for me, this is a bucket list race. Just the amount of good racing that is at one facility over the course of 4 days is definitely got to be a bucket list for me. But I'll kick it to you guys and just get initial thoughts over the course of the racing.
well, I was gonna say that obviously the late model championship was really up for grabs between three guys, and when he got to the sprint car side, it was just kind of a Gravel needed to survive, do his thing, and he'd be all right. So when it came down to it, the late model championship was definitely the one to keep an eye on, and went the entire weekend for the most part.
Yeah, that was a fun battle to watch, especially as Hoffman gained ground late there. I think that was Friday night, I believe. He gained a little ground.
Thursday
Night he gained a little ground, and he found himself actually second in the points there for a minute or so. But yeah, that was quite the battle there.
Yeah, I had a sixth place finish on Thursday night, while Shepard finished 18th. So obviously gained a ton of ground there. I think it was down to 18, I want to say, is what the margin was after Thursday night.
Yep.
So
within striking distance.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So I was gonna say RTJ otherwise won night one, which ultimately got him 3 in a row at Charlotte after winning the last 2 from last year.
Yep.
So keep it up on his streak there. Him and Madden touched a couple times on Thursday night, and that's important as we get into Saturday night.
Yep.
Keep that in the back of our minds on that one. Get to night 2 though. Hoffman breaks rear end on night 2 after running a handful of laps. After that basically just took him out of championship contention, lost all the points that he had, and
Yeah.
pretty much done for that. So
Yeah.
Shepard finishes 6th while Bobby Pierce won night 2. So Pierce gets back into second place and is within striking distance as far as winning the championship. So that made night 3 Saturday night, obviously the very interesting part. And boy, was it an eventful night. Talking about the race itself, rough day for Hoosier tires, specifically the right rears. There were a lot of cut tires or tires going down. That ended a lot of drivers' nights.
Yeah, that was Bobby Pierce even was one of the victims of that, unfortunate.
Somebody made a comment, and you guys might get a little bit of kick of this, that how ironic that his championship season began and ended with a tire issue.
Yikes.
Just had to throw that out there.
You're not wrong.
So, but yeah, Pierce was eventually a victim of that. Yeah, I mean, he was running 3rd, I think, at the time, maybe 4th. Excuse me. When he cut that tire, he would have had the way that Pierce or Shepard was running. He had to win the race in order to get the championship.
Correct.
The way that Shepard was running, Shepard needed to finish 11th or better to win the championship. And like I said, Pierce cut it down and just was never able to get back up to the front. Obviously, that would have been a pretty tall task in order for him to pull that off. RTJ and Chris Madden couldn't stay away from each other. I mean, there was one point in time where I don't remember if RTJ came down or Madden came up, but RTJ had nothing but door in front of Madden at one point in time after getting left hooked. So guys,
the old Victor Lane picture is probably going to be the new meme.
I mean, yeah, they were upfront and confrontational with each other.
Correct.
So, which is funny, especially with Madden being a short-term crew chief for RTJ there for a while.
Yep.
I think that speaks to the level of competition that these guys are. When you get to this, no matter what your relationship is, at this point, once you strap in, put those belts on, and you buckle up your helmet, prior relationships, don't want to say throw them out the window, but
yeah,
you'll
do some interesting things with big money on the line.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. So, ultimately, though, Chris Madden ends up winning night 3 of the World Finals. Actually had a really good weekend overall. So that just shows that he, obviously, if he'd ran a full year, and depending on how the year went, he could have been a championship contender, but shows that he still's got it and could run a long time yet.
Yeah, for sure.
Just one of those guys too that it's like you ever question, when they step away, is once they step away, are they going to lose it? Or they still got it? And it's like, well, anybody that had any doubt about if he still got it, he stepped in there and he silenced anybody that questioned if he still got it with that performance this past weekend.
Yep.
For sure.
So, no, overall, good weekend for the late models. They still got a couple one-off shows and specials coming up yet for this year, but excuse me, man, it won't be long. Their season gets going quick. End of January, their season gets back up and running again.
Yeah, a lot of guys parked at Longhorn already, taking the new 2025s with them as they're down in that neighborhood anyways. So, handful of teams picking up new chassis and just making sure everything's in tip-top shape, because it's getting to the middle of November already and the season kicks off in the end of January. So it's it's not almost go time, but we don't have time to sit around. So,
2 months away.
yep.
It's a little over 2 months. That's like a summer break when you're in school. Few months off and back at it. So, I mean, yeah, that's an incredibly quick turnaround. And like I think we saw, it was Brian Shirley posted on Facebook. 2024 season ended Saturday. 2025 started today as they were loading the 2025 Longhorn into their trailer. So,
Yep.
guys ain't messing around getting the program ready for 2025 and figuring out how they can gain a few spots in the point standings.
No, for sure. And one thing too, I'm just double checking the schedule, but like I said, there's not a whole lot in between. There's a few Castrol flow races coming up, and then they got the Dome after that.
Yep. But let's be honest. You go to the Dome, you ain't taking your best piece, anyways.
Yeah.
You're gonna take one you're okay to wrinkle up a little bit because space ain't space is not space is not
Space is at a premium.
correct. You got a quick little update on the sprint cars too, as long as we're kind of touching on this here.
Yeah, so they had their championship season as well. Just touching real quick on the sprint cars, just because they were pretty straightforward this weekend. So Gravel ends up winning night one, obviously a big deal for his championship, trying to clinch that up. Macedo gained some ground on night two, ended up winning on that one, but just based on the math alone, Gravel was able to lock up his championship on Friday night. So all he had to worry about on Saturday was just racing for the big money at the end of it. Tyler Courtney ends up winning night three, and I mean, he dominated. He led all 35 laps, I believe that one was, not a 25 lapper. But the two championship contenders were right there as well. Gravel was second, and Macedo was third in that race. So,
Yeah, a lot of hammers up front, racing hard.
showing everybody why they were there.
Absolutely.
So,
And while we're on,
go ahead.
No, once you're wrapped up.
Nope, I lost my thought anyways. So
I'm gonna hop in here and start the conversation. I'll let you guys pick it up as I let my cat out of jail. As we're talking World Outlaws here, a lot of guys this weekend, over this past weekend, you start seeing interesting storylines to fall is guys announcing series that they're going to run. And in the rumor, not rumor, but he was stirring the pot, was Gravel. And I want to stay down here. Gravel potentially going to high limit. And he announced this past weekend he's not built for the high limit. So he's going to try to go back and announces he'll be with the Woo Gang again in 2025. And then some late model guys got back putting out their announcements. And Nick Hoffman, he made his big announcement. Who was the other one?
There's a slew of guys
Gustin?
that made their announcements. Yeah.
Gustin made one, him and Cooney Motorsports.
Let's see. I just highlighted it on the spreadsheet here as far as where we're at on announcements. If you go over a little bit, yeah, Gustin, Shirley, Hoffman, Daniel Adam, all announced that they're running at least on the late model side of things.
Got it. So yeah, it's something. Again, not NASCAR, but as dirt season wraps up here, feel like we've got a good pulse on where guys are going to land, but things are going to start shaking out here. We'll touch on that in our random segment here. Seats being filled, and the next thing that's going to come about is you're going to start seeing guys declaring if they're going to follow a tour, and if so, what tour. So, yeah, that's going to be something to follow here. So, any other final thoughts on the World Finals at Charlotte?
There's a point I'll make once we get to the unnamed segment, but let's just say the temptation to cross that one off the bucket list went up significantly with some news that came out this week as well. So I'll expand on that when we get to the future segment.
All right.
Well, if we don't have anything else, World Outlaws wraps up their 2024 season in spectacular fashion. So that event is a spectacle, and we're all talking about bucket lists. So, got to get there someday. So, going on to the next segment. I don't know what you want to call this. Doing donuts. Just sitting here spinning, talking random racing facts, racing news. I don't know. Best we got right now is the random news segment. So let's hop in here. I guess I'll take the first one here. Bobby Allison, unfortunately, passes away peacefully at his home at age 86. And unfortunate, an icon in the sport. And recent NASCAR winner when he was declared that win earlier this year. So, again, just the NASCAR legend, well known in the NASCAR community and motorsports, and just a legend all around. So, lost a great one for the sport. So, rest in peace, Bobby Allison.
Mm.
Yeah.
Kellen, I think this is kind of right up your alley.
Yeah. So on a little bit more positive news, well, I guess not positive, but Batesville Motor Speedway in Arkansas is for sale. So if you're looking for a racetrack, and actually even this year they held some pretty big races, including Lucas Oil Dirt Late Models and the Comp Cam Super Dirt Series. So they had some pretty decent races. And the owners of that track have operated it for 32 years prior to the potential changing of hands. So if you're looking to purchase and keep a racetrack open, they have the facilities to do so to handle the big series. So Batesville might be the place you are looking for.
Jumping into some driver news. We're going to jump to NASCAR here for a little bit. Corey Heim announced that he's going to be back with Tricon in the Truck Series for a third season. Kind of surprising. I get the move, though. Just get another year under the belt with the trucks. Possibly win that championship with them. Maybe wait for some Xfinity rides to open up. And then speaking of Xfinity, Austin Hill confirms he'll be back with the RCR program in 2025 with a 2026 option year. So I'm going to assume that's just kind of waiting to see what rides possibly open up on the Cup side of things. But that's what we got for driver news on the NASCAR side for the time being.
And that's kind of an interesting contract there. You always hear about like player option in the NFL. It's a 4-year contract with a year of, does the player want to stay and does the team want to pick up that extra year, kind of, so to speak. Yep. And kind of an interesting contract there. Don't hear about it a ton in NASCAR. So, I think that's a good move for him, because looking at the 3 and the 8 there, who's to say that they run it back with the 3 and the 8 one more year, and then in 2026 one of them has got to go, and he's at least got the option. So
yep. Restructure it if he jumps up, and
yep,
whatever the case may be.
Hopping into the Cup Series here, RFK makes the news. Matt McCall, crew chief for Brad Keselowski, won't return to RFK in 2025. And people are expecting a reunion with former crew chief Jeremy Bullins, who Brad has had a ton of success with previously in the 2. So, again, we talk about silly season and drivers and teams. I would say we overlooked the crew chief aspect of it too. and some of the behind the scenes stuff with the team. So Matt McCall out at RFK, and Brad K will be looking for a new crew chief.
Hiring his own crew chief is what he'll be doing.
True. That's going to
Yep.
be an interesting job
Yep.
interview for whoever that is.
Yep. So going back to the dirt late model side of things a little bit, World of Outlaws have released their 2025 late model schedule with a $1.137 million points fund for the year. Your top 5 payouts, 225, 200, 175, 125, 110, and $100,000 for points payouts. So, and then just kind of going back to what we had previously mentioned, Ryan Gustin, Brian Shirley, Nick Hoffman, and Daniel Adam have announced that they will be running with the World of Outlaws. So, not only do we have a schedule, we also have a handful of drivers that have said that they will be with the Woo Gang in 2025.
Of note, that championship purse 225, that's 50K more than what it was this year. This year was 175. So adding
Yep.
some big time money to the pot.
Yeah, for sure. So even kind of going, kind of in terms of World of Outlaws team from this year, Max McLaughlin and Team 22 Incorporated have split following the World Short Track Finals. So as we're sitting here, they are no longer working together per se.
One more note on the schedule, just because I thought of it, and it's a little, home feeling for us. Cedar Lake bumped up to 100K to win for next year as well.
That's a big one.
Of note.
That makes that race even bigger. It's big the way it is, but that just made it that much bigger.
Yep.
So,
that is one thing I will say. Obviously, Lucas Oil was. I feel like Lucas Oil and High Limit, they paved the way. They're not shy. Hey, here's our cards. We'll get them out on the table. We'll go first. We'll show you what our schedule is. We'll show you what the payouts are. Whatever. And Woo kind of holds their cards a little bit closer to their chest and says, "We'll let you guys go first, then we'll come in." But you mentioned the points fund getting a $50,000 point increase. I mean, I think for all of us, we will say that is one thing we are totally okay with inflation grabbing a hold of and increasing. So good for the sport of racing.
I will say though too, at least on the World Outlaw late model side of things, is they don't have the restrictions like the sprint cars guys do. So you can have that Outlaws and Lucas Oil. Yep, you can have guys flip back and forth with each other. Do they run on some weekends at the same time? Absolutely. But you have a lot of weekends too that them guys will run one series or the other.
Yep.
Depending on their schedule.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think we're totally fine with that too, because that Cedar Lake the last couple of years, we get the benefit of JD, Ricky Thornton Jr.,
Yep.
those guys coming up
guys. Yep,
yeah, coming
absolutely.
up to Cedar Lake. So yeah, good deal there.
You want to take this, Cam, or you want me to take this?
I'll grab this one.
Yeah, go for
it. We just talked about him having a big weekend there. Chris Madden racing part-time with GR Smith's Team 22 Incorporated in 2025. And they're just going to target some bigger events. So I guess you could probably expect Crown Jewels. So they plan to announce a full-time driver, but definitely going to sprinkle in a little bit of the savvy vet there at some of these big Crown Jewel events. And I think you can probably put a good guess in already at some of the bigger events that you can expect to see him at. World Finals, Eldora ×2, some of those events. So again, Chris Madden steps away from racing, but you can't keep a driver away from racing too long. They'll keep finding their way back in the sport. So Chris Madden, you will see his name a little bit less frequently in 2025, but you'll still see it.
Absolutely. Kind of another big announcement, I would say, is Longhorn Factory Team follows up and they put out their driver crew chief lineup for 2025. So obviously it was of note that Brandon Shepard would not be coming back with them we'll touch on that in a minute here. But they announced Brandon Overton will drive the Longhorn factory car with Anthony Burrows as the crew chief. So would expect those two to be quite the pairing, with a brilliant mind is turning the wrenches, and Brandon Overton certainly is a wheelman himself. So I would expect that. They have yet to announce a series, if at all they're going to follow. But as of right now, they have their shot caller and their driver. So they'll be ready to rock and roll for 2025.
Talking about driver announcements, sprint car side, the World Outlaws have announced a few drivers that are coming back. David Gravel, Sheldon Haudenschild, and Cole Macedo are confirmed to be running for the sprint cars in 2025. On the high limit side of things, drivers that are confirmed to run for them right now include Dason Pursley, Spencer Baston, Brad Sweet, Justin Peck, and Tanner Thorson. So basically sticking pretty much to who's been running so far, at least as of last year, or 2024, I should say. So obviously Carson Macedo is still up in the air, but with brother Cole jumping to the outlaw side of things, who's to say? Ryan Timms also announced that he'll be full-time in the Liebig Motorsports number 10 for 2025. They have not announced the schedule yet, who they're going to be running with. Timms ran a lot of midgets last year, mainly. So, um, speaking of midgets, the 2025 Outlaw Midget Finale for them will be at Millbridge Speedway, kind of going back to their home. This is going to be on the Monday and Tuesday before the World Finals in Charlotte. So you've got Monday through Saturday of nothing but dirt racing in that greater Charlotte, North Carolina area. So that I made that comment about that bucket list item getting a lot more interest. That's why.
That's cool. That'll be a literally a hell of an event for a week.
Oh yeah, for
So,
sure.
Going a little more, we've been talking a lot of tires this year. Going on the more of the Goodyear side, Goodyear's director of racing, Greg Stucker, has retired after 45 years with Goodyear. He spent 42 years in racing. So, um, obviously been a large hand in the development and progression of the Goodyear racing tire.
I will say this: whenever Goodyear gets put under the microscope and people, start bashing Goodyear, he's standing right in the front of it and taking everything and shooting it right back.
Yep.
So, but he has come out with some very good tires. I think Martinsville was a good example of that,
Yep.
and still being able to make a damn good tire.
For sure.
At this point, 45 years at Goodyear, 42 in racing. I think all of us, we can all sit back and complain about, the tires that get brought. But at a time like this, I think we all can sit back and say, good on you there, Jeff. Thank you for what you've done
Greg.
for 42 years in racing. And um, sure, he's seen it all in the
Oh yeah.
tire industry and racing tire industry. And again, probably been a massive force in helping us get to where we are at. So,
Yep.
I guess somebody like that retires, but I would guess that you're going to see him probably at a fair amount of racing events. So,
Yep.
Yeah, kind of going. I think Van Grel, this is one you could probably um, attest to more than anyone. But Jeff Striegel is leaving MRN after 27 years, so he's been the lead announcer for the last several years. So,
Yep. He also does track PA at the Berlin Raceway as well. So,
yeah, so he's just decided to step away.
yep. MRN always love listening to the radio calls. Always got good calls. I suppose I'll take this one as well, being that this is kind of more up my alley as well. So Logan Sargent earlier in the year was relieved of his duties in the F1 car with, and I can't remember who he was racing with earlier this year. It's slipping my mind. Either way, he has been teased to be running for Meyershank Racing in the IndyCar Series for 2025, which I would not be disappointed on. I think he brings some great talent to that team.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
Absolutely.
get him as an American back on stateside, racing stateside as well. So,
Yep.
He was lone wolfing it there. The lone wolf you were pulling for in the old G1 series there for a while.
yep,
Come
he was
come on,
racing
buddy.
for Williams,
Come on, buddy. Represent.
Yep.
which I got my own opinions of Formula One, but that's a conversation for a different day, I feel.
Cam, you
Oh,
got this last one.
yeah. Again, we've been talking all off season on it. Brandon Shepard, and uh, I'm announcing a flash sale on some Brandon Shepard Longhorn gear uh, at my house. That merch is about 50% off. So whatever you see on his website, take it times 0.5 and get my DMs, and I'll sell you some B Shep merch because, of course, I blew my wad at Cedar Lake and bought some B Shep Longhorn factory team gear, and um, here we sit. And he's going back today. Officially announces he is going back to the Rocket One team. So we've he's been in not a tough spot, but with the way his years went, obviously had a good year, but with his news about um, departing from the Longhorn factory team, that news statement getting leaked earlier this year, and then just with what um, the rumors, whatever that you can see on social media, this was stirred up, alluded to, pieced together, and so this just all but confirms a reunion with Mark Richards and the Rocket One team, who um, really that's how he put himself on the map there. The run that he had with them originally. So a reunion that is
A reunion that's going to compete for a Lucas Oil Championship is what's going to happen.
Notably, too. Yep.
That XR 1.2 is going to be fast, and Brandon Shepard is one hell of a race car driver. So do not be surprised if that Rocket One is standing, if not on the podium, on top of the podium at the end of the Lucas Oil season.
are they going to run Lucas? You assume you
Yep,
just
that's
they
confirmed. He's running Lucas Oil.
Yep.
shit.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I've known Mark Richards and the World of Outlaws had a little falling out. So Mark Richards has taken his teams and gone to Lucas Oil. So
Yep. Um,
Who's not one note on that? Who's not to say Mark Richards brings over an ace like him and says, "All right, get out that Longhorn factory team binder you got. Let's let's grab a couple notes here, just so we got a baseline. Some of these tracks that we have a little overlap on."
he's going from Longhorn to Rocket there, pal.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying Richards like, hey, Longhorn is. I mean, you could argue Longhorn's the dominant chassis. In Bishop just spent a year and a half in the Longhorn factory team. Like, don't
yeah,
you think
but
we can get a little bit of Richards could pick his brain a little bit about what they're doing at Longhorn, setup wise and
Yeah,
thoughts and stuff like that.
sure, but that rocket chassis is also, like you said, Kellen, that has come on as of the past couple months.
that 1.2 is going to be damn good. I have a feeling that, they say a chassis, the life cycle is about 10 years. Well, it's year 9, and they came out with this 1.2, and they've found something. So,
Yep. I want to throw in here real quick. Obviously, Tim McCready is no longer going to be in that Rocket One then, but he is going to stay in the Rocket chassis fold as he moves over to the Briggs race team, race for his buddy Boom Briggs.
when did that come out?
It's in the announcement for Flow Racing.
No shit, huh?
Yep, he's going to be racing for Boom Briggs.
That was rumored. That was kind of the talk. I didn't see that. I missed that part.
Yep, Richards put that in his announcement as well. I'm looking at the Flow Racing article.
Jesus,
So, yep.
good catch.
And then, yeah,
Let's be honest. Boom Briggs was fast in that XR 1.2. Nobody's talking about the. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and then his family-owned B5 program will run the rocket chassis. That he'll enter all but a handful of appearances away from the Lucas Oil Series.
Yeah.
So I want to throw that in there for McCready as well.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Yeah. That is our random news segment. And again, as you can see here, we're talking as racing season is winding down, news is still hot and heavy here as we again um, dirt scene is already it's in motion and guys are announcing rides and series and seats and teams and crew chiefs. So dirt season's already in the swing of things, and NASCAR season just ended, and so you can expect the NASCAR side of things to ramp up here across all three series over the next month and a half, because they always say, you get to late December, early January, and if you don't have a NASCAR ride, if you don't have something lined up, you don't have one. So,
Yep.
Still
yeah,
some rides to announce.
A lot of truck rides open.
Yep.
so yeah, racing content going to be winding down, but racing news is going to be ramping up. So, if we don't have anything else, hold on, I'm just going to check the bookmarks here quick on the X app.
While you look real quick,
Just make sure I don't have any random news announcements here.
yeah, while you do that, let's talk on the
Yeah, one quick one there. Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series, frequently we talk about here. They announced their season schedule today as well. New tracks, returning favorites, and bigger purses. $50,000 to the champion, and travel money for the top 10 in points. So, 23 races across 15 tracks, and you can look at that on X. And you can see.
I'll get that one plugged into the Excel sheet here when we're done.
Yep. Again, southeastern Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Georgia, Kentucky. So, southeast corner of that state. Again, dirt series down there, up in their purse, and coming back for another round. So, any other random thoughts, facts for the unnamed segment?
No.
The only one I want to touch on, this is going to be just a tad of a conversation topic. The penalties that came out of Martinsville
Yes.
for the shenanigans that happened there. So, crew chiefs, spotters, and team executives were suspended for Phoenix for the 23, the 1, and the 3. The drivers were docked 50 points and given $100,000 fines. And then the owners were also docked 50 points and $100,000 fines at that as well. Of note, that was the maximum penalty for both the drivers and the owners that was allowed per the rule book.
So wasted no time proving a point.
Yep. But to that point, they also scheduled a meeting with the OEMs, i.e. Chevy and Toyota, to discuss further infractions and expectations. So we should expect a change in the rule book as far as how penalties can be given in 2025.
Yeah.
I want to say too on that point, I'm making a point too. I don't know if you guys saw Dale Jarrett, what he was talking about pre-race at Phoenix. I don't know if anybody saw the comments there about protecting the integrity of our sport. And not only that, but he talked about point shaving and the kicking out of bell and the way the teams are, which you don't think about, which has become more and more of a problem in other sports, is gambling.
Yep.
And him talking about, he indirectly said, the point shaving and rigging it. So, who's to say that somebody within the organization is not gambling, or somebody they know? Yeah, But anyways,
Yep.
pretty interesting point too that Dale Jarrett was talking about that I didn't think about either. Is as all this is going on, we're talking about the integrity of our sport and doing the right thing and racing the right way. You didn't even come to my mind to think about somebody gambling on
Yeah.
Yeah.
who's in,
What
who's out, what position they finish.
one of the comments that was made too that we even had the comment too is how can you penalize the OEMs? How can you penalize Chevy and Toyota themselves? Todd Gordon made a point of limiting or cutting back on their wind tunnel time. We all know that aerodynamics is big, and the wind tunnel time is given to the manufacturers themselves, not necessarily the teams themselves. So if you cut back wind tunnel time, that's a good way of penalizing them.
Yep.
So,
Well, it's not. I don't know that it'll necessarily be a fast process, but we're going to find out here at some point.
oh yeah, like I said, I would expect an update in the rules in over the off season. You got to get it done before the season starts. That's for sure.
Absolutely, they're just not going to stand for this anymore. They're not going to even have to have these conversations anymore. It's going to be okay.
Yep.
Here's the situation. This is what you're going to get out of it if we even think there's something close to what's going on.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
That's
all I got on the penalties for Martinsville, and obviously that's going to be a big discussion. Who's to say that it's kind of stemmed from what the current playoff format is, but maybe that's a discussion for another time as well.
Yep. So
yeah, that is. I think that's gonna be as we get into off season. That's gonna be we're gonna come back to that topic and discuss that further on our thoughts and ideas. And I mean, we touched on it last week, but I feel like we could put together. We probably could have talked for 2 hours strictly on that one race,
Yep.
and all to unpack in that penalties, integrity of the sport, spotters, crew chiefs, drivers, OEMs from whole 9 yards. So, like you guys said, NASCAR is going to make a point. They're not going to stand for that shit. Um, they're going to make it known. Here's our expectations, and if you want to toe the line and get involved with that, you can expect to get it handed to you. So, um, I would expect a rule implementation soon, to say the
Yep.
least. So, any other final thoughts?
Well, we're talking about NASCAR championship. Should we talk about Phoenix?
We might as
absolutely.
well. We got to talk NASCAR Cup Series one last time. So obviously, NASCAR goes to Phoenix for the championship race, and to be honest, I'll just start here. I'm surprised our tire changer showed up to the podcast today.
You know how
Nick
many comments I've
Hoffman,
gotten about that today?
and if any, even people I don't know, just the Nick Hoffman heartbreak.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
creeping his way back into there, and then he breaks and doesn't even get a shot at it. So that was heartbreaking. Friday and Saturday, and then we come down to the championship race, which I'll just start and say Phoenix is again. We've done our fair share of complaining about it and the track and the package and the tire and the whole 9 yards, no passing this, that, and the other thing. I think Phoenix put on a product that again makes a case for to keep the championship race there. But ultimately, Joey Logano gets wins the championship, and there's a whole line of statistics that I'm sure we'll get into at some point of lowest averaging finishing champion, 3-time champion with the lowest top fives or fewest top fives, fewest top tens, whatever, whole 9 yards. Just gassed myself out. But anyways, Joey Logano gets the win. He is don't have to deal with we complained about it last year, the race winner being different than the NASCAR Cup Series champion. So thankful that we don't have a race winner burning it down and then a different championship driver burning it down. So I'll kick it to you guys. What thoughts do we have on Phoenix, the champion, the race, gut reaction, knee jerk reaction? What do we got?
Well, I mean, that was a race of strategy.
Yep.
It's basically what it came down to.
Reality of it is as much as we've complained about packages and passing and tires and fuel mileage and all of these other things, at the end of the day, what more can you ask for other than to leave the calls in the hands of the crew chiefs and the crews and the drivers?
Yep.
You
Then you
know,
got
you had the best 40 cars in the world, the best 40 stock car drivers in the world, with the best mechanics and engineers and crew chiefs calling the shots. And you had two little minor dust ups, but other than that, it was all right down to strategy.
and you had a championship race. You had two guys fighting for a championship at the end of that race.
Yeah, the four of them raced around each other all day.
Yep.
Like Blaney and Logano were there for a little while. You couldn't separate them.
Yep. You had Byron up there for a little bit. Radek, you had that story of can he get himself back into the mix? And you had a couple of those restarts where he kept himself in the mix by making some amazing moves.
Reddick's kind of starting to get a little bit of that fearlessness, I think.
Well, when you got a championship on the line, there is no fear.
He's not afraid to just put it out there and let it all hang out.
I talked about it too. He is, him and Larson are, I put them in the same category. The fearlessness, they're going to be the first two that are going to go for it. I feel like Larson's got him by a slight bit right now, but if you got a track that's got a line that you can run an inch from the wall, and it's the fastest way around the track, but it's the riskiest, and you're riskiest for smashing up your stuff, Larson will lead the way, and there'll be the 45 that'll be right behind him.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Reddick has definitely got himself in that category.
And you saw him try to make that 3-wide move at Vegas that ultimately didn't pay off, but you saw him make the 4-wide move at Phoenix that did pay off for him.
Yes, correct.
As well, up on top.
Yep.
So,
I don't know. I feel like this is worth the mention as we're just kind of talking about the racing product itself. The Jeff Gluck poll, we kind of forgot about him here over the last week or so. 41% yes, 59% no on was that a good race?
I voted yes.
I voted yes.
I wonder. I
That
think
makes
there's
three.
I think there's two factors as far as why it's a no. I think one, purely because Logano won, and I don't think Logano's the most fan favorite one out there.
Yep.
And two, I think a lot of people are still disappointed in how the playoffs have played out as far as Logano. We got to remember he got himself back into the playoffs with Bowman's disqualification.
Yeah.
He was eliminated at one point in time.
For a couple hours.
Yep. So he was eliminated, got back in, and then obviously you had the whole Martinsville deal happen as well.
Yeah.
So I think the playoff format itself was still a sour taste in some people's mouths, which gave it a no as well.
Now, I know, and I excuse my language when we talk about this, but they were talking to Joey Logano about it. People have kind of come after him about this whole title this year, and I don't blame the guy. If they don't think he already won that title, it's, as he would say, it's bullshit. They've figured out how to get hot at the right time to do what they need to do to win a title. Like,
and in all honesty,
it's that 9-7 football team that gets into the wild card and they end up in the Super Bowl. Like,
yep. And you know what?
Good for them if they've got it figured out.
And I'm going to throw myself under the bus here as well. Blaney did the same thing last year.
Yep.
I alluded to it last couple of weeks. I've complained about the format and arguing, you could argue Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, the four best. You could argue that the 4 guys that got eliminated at Martinsville made a better Final Four, championship 4 than the 4 that were actually in there.
Statistically.
Larson, Hamlin, Christopher Bell, and who was the 4th that got eliminated at Martinsville?
What were the first 3 you said?
Hamlin, Bell, Larson,
Elliott.
Elliott. But again, you can, I guess, we can sit here and complain about it, but what, like you guys said, what every other sport, you look at March Madness, NCAA basketball, all you got to do is just get in the tournament, and you see a 16 seed beat a 1 seed. You see the MLB, the NFL.
We literally had a 16 seed win the whole deal. Literally.
And I mean, you talk about the year the Packers win the Super Bowl. What do? They squeak in at 9-7. They're a wild card. They got to go on the road every playoff game. They end up winning the Super Bowl. Guess what? Sometimes all you got to do is just get in the dance.
Giants beat an undefeated Patriots football team.
Yep.
And look, I mean, the benefit of this is, I mean, even when this happens, I mean, you get 3 shots per round.
Yep.
So I saw this on Twitter, and we talk about this a little bit, but like Logano could go out and not finish 19 races, win 1 in the regular season, win 1 each round. He could win 5 races and win the title.
Yep.
You could wreck 30% of the schedule and not finish. You got a good shot of being there.
Blaney had the most DNFs, or not the most DNFs, but he had a lot of DNFs this season. I'm going to see if I can find the stat here real quick. So it's between him and Larson. I know that.
Come on, you don't have that memorized?
No. Blaney had 7 DNFs this year, the most out of any driver.
Wow.
There were a few others, but of at least the playoff drivers, he had 7 DNFs. And he still is sitting second.
Wow.
So it's just, but like you said, it's about getting hot at the right time, and it's the same in any other sport.
Yeah, I mean, we just compared it to the NFL a little bit. It's like going to Phoenix is like playing that division rival in the wild card. You've had 2 shots at them already this year.
Yep.
What are you gonna do different to make it happen?
Yep.
That track layout's the same. You're going to the same track you were there in the spring. If somebody's better than you, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do to be better? What are you gonna change to make yourself better? Is it the car? Is it the driver? Is it the strategy?
Yep. So, and we go into Phoenix. Logano had 3 weeks to prepare for Phoenix. They could spend all that time working on that car.
Correct.
You had Reddick, who had 2 weeks to prepare for it. Obviously, Blaney still only had the 1 week. But again, he had a phenomenal run at Martinsville in order to get himself into the playoff at that.
Yep.
So it's just, and maybe this is a conversation we have in the next week. Just what would our playoff format be?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fresh into that.
And
say, Cam, you look like you had a point.
I'm waiting I jumped in, so I was waiting for somebody else to speak.
Go ahead.
I don't know if this is going to totally change the subject, but somebody we've all talked, within the sport throughout the season, don't want to say they've been lagging, but every time we talk about manufacturers and winning races, a lot of times we're talking that Ford is Ford is not up to speed, not up to par. Ford doesn't have the speed, but gee whiz, we're sitting here and Ford's got the last 3 championships.
Penske's got the last 3 championships.
Man, I know.
Top 2 cars.
Yep.
Again, they were there when it meant the most.
Yep.
Well, what more can you ask?
This happens with Penske is that Coke 600, they flip a switch. They're good for the Daytona 500. They mind their P's and Q's up until the Coke 600. Coke 600 comes around, it's a flip of the switch.
Yep.
That's not, it's remarkable for Mr. P there.
Yep. So
yeah, that's nuts.
Callan, you put this in here, the secondary poll, and again, we might have to revisit this whenever we talk about the playoff format. But Gluck put out a secondary poll this year about what would you want as a postseason or a playoff format? How should the point system work? So 16% currently has it as the current elimination format.
Yep.
38% wants a full season format. So go back to the Winston or the Grand National points format. And then go back, or 46%, which is the leading option right now, goes to the original Chase format, which was the 10 race format.
I just think that these answers would be drastically different with a different champion.
I think so too.
Joey Logano is also very much growing on me.
He is. He is a little bit too.
2 years ago, I really did not like him, but the more I watch him, he's growing on me.
I appreciate.
Maybe it's because he's had some issues with drivers that I also don't care for.
Yeah.
So I've kind of taken a side.
And me being able to listen to Sirius XM, he's on Sirius XM almost every week with his behind the wheel segment on the morning drive. And I tell you what, I cannot not listen to some of the things that he says. He's got some very good insight and some very good reasoning in some of the things that go on in the sport, which shows why he is a championship veteran in the sport as well.
Absolutely.
He has grown himself over the years from his time in Joe Gibbs to being in Penske as well.
I was on a Slowy Logano kick there for a while, a couple of years ago. But again, I think, not the most popular, no. But again, I think for any NASCAR fan or any race fan, you can look at him and say, that man does it right on and off the track.
Touching on the race here real quick, and again, goes to Logano. Obviously, yes, Blaney caught him. And, I mean, the way that he caught him, you would expect him to get around. But Logano did what he does as a championship driver and knows how to keep guys behind him. He knew exactly how to keep Blaney behind him. So it wasn't that Blaney lost that race. It was Logano won that race and ultimately the championship.
Correct.
And I was, as we're getting down there, and you watch those last couple laps, and Blaney is overdriving the heck out of it to try to get to Logano. I wanted to see it happen, to see how it would play out, but I wanted Blaney to get to Logano to see what would happen and how they would go at it, because what do you think Mr. P's sitting there saying as he's got 2 guys going at it? Does Blaney give him the bumper? Does he run him up the track? What do you think happens if Blaney catches Logano and gets to him?
Don't wreck him. Don't wreck each other. One of you two bring the championship home.
Well, they asked, was it Logano or one of the two? And I asked one of the two, and they said, one of them's leading and you're coming down to the end to win a title. What do you do to win the title? And one of them's, all they said is Penske has to win the title.
Yep.
So take that and do with it as you will.
Penske Penske will treat Logano well for winning the championship, but he'll treat Blaney just as well for not wrecking Logano.
Correct.
God, I had a point and I forgot what the hell the point was now that I was going to say.
Wasn't this right here, was it?
Oh, it was not. It was not. No, I was going to say, like, I had a gut feeling the entire week. I thought, you know what? Logano, he's there. He's in it. You can't knock him you can't keep him out of it.
Yeah.
I had a gut feeling entire race, and then they were coming to the end of stage 2 when Blaney was fighting, I believe it was Bell for the stage win, and Logano caught them.
Yeah.
And I made a comment. I'm like, all right, they're going to be coming for pit stops. I made a comment like, I'm not worried about Bell. I'm worried about Logano and how they do on that pit stop.
Yep. For sure.
So, I mean, overall, getting back to the race itself, I enjoyed it. And I think it was a great race. Like you said, Cam, Phoenix is still making a point of being the championship race. Plain and
Yep.
simple.
And I think, for us, we can only sit and go off of what we're seeing on the TV, solely the racing product. But I forget what NASCAR executive said this past week, said what people aren't seeing is the way that people show up to Phoenix.
Yep.
Coming up, leading up to it. All the pre-race stuff, starting media on Tuesday, this, that, and the other thing. He just said the environment Phoenix is creating and the way that people are showing up, it is a championship caliber event.
They're filling seats. They've got events going on around the place. They've got concerts going on, stuff like that. Phoenix is making it an event, not just a race.
Yep.
Now I'm gonna throw this out to you guys. Do we make Homestead the final race of the champion of the round of 8? Do we have Homestead and Phoenix on back-to-back weeks? Do we put Martinsville in the middle of the round of 8, Homestead the final race of the round of 8, and then Phoenix the championship race?
No, I think you leave it.
Homestead middle, Martinsville the end. Phoenix
Homestead
championship.
Martin. Yeah.
That Homestead or that Martinsville and Bristol feel cutoff races, dude, there's nothing better as a race fan.
Sure.
Give me Bristol and Martinsville for cut races.
Fair enough.
I'm a short track guy.
I am too.
So
Just had to throw it out there.
Speaking of short track racing, he ends his long, as we're on NASCAR segment, he ends his long partnership with FedEx. So FedEx has been a staple in the sport here for a long time. So going to be interesting to see who he's going to bring on to fill that void.
yeah.
Yep.
I do have to say one as I'm sitting here wearing it now, we do have to say Derek Kraus ran his final race with Colleague in the Cup Series for what has not been announced any plans yet, but just a workmanlike day. Only got 5 starts, ran deep for a while, got him on a strategy late with tires, and he was able to drive around cars. Finished 25th, but his best finish of his 5 starts. But cool deal to see him getting some Cup Series racing action.
Yeah.
So,
I want to touch real quick. Obviously, we had the Xfinity and the Truck Series as well.
Hold on, before we go, if you're going to change the subject on the Cup Series, guys, we're missing one of the most iconic parts of that NASCAR race. Dude, how about the old pace car getting loose?
Oh my God.
coming to pit road, bro.
how can we forget about that? So all of them,
man.
did they must have when all these spotters that got these penalties and suspensions or whatever, they must have shit canned the spotter for the pace car too. Wrinkled up that right rear quarter panel. Boy,
What
would
I saw,
pick out the sand barrels.
yep, I saw tow link needed to be replaced on the car. The car was on damaged vehicle policy.
Dude, they had to
Dude,
go
I
to a
just have,
Yeah,
they went to a backup.
dude. No, I was hoping that was thinking all fours were gonna go down. They're gonna have to get out the tow truck and just pull it right to
oh
the
my
shop.
God.
Don't even give them a shot to fix it. Take it right to the shop. You're done for the day. But no, dude,
Oh,
honestly, how did that happen? You're driving a Toyota Camry and she gets loose and you get into the old sand barrels. Come on.
Committed too late.
Girl, what'd you say? You'll never buy one?
Not enough downforce. Not enough downforce. No, so
Oh,
like
because at first I honestly thought the pace car checked up and I thought Elliott got into it.
I thought so too.
But then you watch the
Never
replay and it
touched
was
him.
not even
Yep,
close. There
never
was
touched him.
heat in there.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you guys, I don't know if you guys will remember this, but when you came up and did the iRacing thing up here.
yep.
So one thing that's notorious for that pace car on iRacing is they do the same thing. Like it's a shot, like it's going and then just a boom, a
Yep.
solid left. That's the one thing I thought about too, is like he tried to be the iRacing pace car.
Yep. God, how could we forget about that?
Oh man.
Anyways, yeah, I had to just bring that up one last point on the old NASCAR race. But anyways, yeah, Van Girl, back to your point there.
Yeah, so I want to start with the trucks. And we talk about Ty Majeski a lot on the short track scene, obviously, and how we go to the racetrack and it's Majeski's off the board when it comes to race picks and all that. But it is pretty cool to see a Scotty boy win the truck championship
Yep.
again.
Yep.
And it's going to be even cooler when he can tell NASCAR to stick it on that fine for coming back to vote.
Still
If you
can't believe
guys,
that.
if anybody did not see, he did skip media day to come back to Wisconsin and vote. And he got a $12,500 fine for skipping the media day,
Yep.
which Chandler Smith got a $10,000 fine for his throwing a haymaker at Cole Custer the prior
Haymaker.
weekend.
Yeah.
So no,
Um,
he makes that point. He's appealing that fine. Takes his civic duty seriously, and whatever. But like you said, we all talk about on the short track on the late model side when he shows up to a track, everybody's at each other's neck about who's picking Majeski or if he's off the board. But this is one series where we are unified together, Majeski fans. Wisconsin boy, tried and true, grew up on the short track scene,
yep.
going national, taking it to the big boys.
Doing
So
it with
did
Joe
you
Shear
see,
Jr. as well.
yep. Did you see the screenshot that he posted from how he ended up getting the job?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got the number from Chase Briscoe for Thorson's and had talked about it a little bit, won the Derby. All of a sudden, he had a job.
Yep. Do you know the story about the French fry as well?
No, I never did hear the backstory with Toby and the French fry because he was there too, obviously.
So Toby's granddaughter gave him a French fry at one of the racetracks. Don't know what racetrack, don't know what race. Either way, gave Toby a French fry for a good luck charm. And they ended up winning the race. So I think it was Toby's wife then gave him and Majeski the toy French fry to
Yep,
carry with them. And they had that at Phoenix.
that's cool.
So that's the story of the French fry.
Yep.
So, Xfinity side real quick. Justin Allgaier gets the championship win as there, and we talked about his extension a couple weeks ago about him going racing again with Junior Motorsports and how he's just one of the good guys of the sport, and seeing him finally win that championship was just a cool deal.
Yeah. Yep.
Some
One of the
serious
good.
adversity.
Yes,
Yeah, wrecked that car in practice.
wrecked the car in practice. Then he was a lap down after needing a pit for the tire.
So, when we talk about Allgaier, we've said it here, just one of the good guys of the sport. Brandon Jones was also a part of that melee of that. He went to a backup as well. And he was actually, Allgaier was actually out putting vinyl stickers on that race car for Brandon Jones as a part of the help. They asked him why, and he said they had two backup cars, one for shorter individual, one for a taller individual. So because he had benefited from getting the primary car that they were going to run the championship with, getting that primary backup, he actually said that I wanted to help put stickers on that car, do something with that car because he was also a benefactor of the situation.
They also, yeah, because Jones had to get the taller seat swapped out for his, and there's just more work that need to be done. So
when you talk about we've said it a handful of times in here, just one of the good guys. Well, dude could have just said the hell with it, I'm going home, but he's out there with the blowtorch, the propane torch, putting vinyl on the race car for someone that won't be his teammate after that race.
Yep.
So kind of a cool deal.
Junior wouldn't let go of the championship flag.
He's probably still carrying a goddamn thing around.
Yep.
Also, did you see what he said about the owner side of things too?
Couldn't give a shit.
Yeah, he couldn't give a damn about the owner side of things. He just wants his driver to win the title.
Which it's got me curious.
Did
He did win the owners championship too. So
he?
Yep.
Well, easy to say that when you got it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, you know, CW, if you're listening, I'd like to watch the Xfinity races, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm still really bitter about that, but RIP to my Xfinity career.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll see if I can help you out there with that. But
for some of us, CW stands for can't watch. So sucks.
either way. Nope. Good way to end the season's over for them guys as well. So
Any other final thoughts on championship weekend?
I was happy with how it went.
I was as well.
I give a thumbs up.
Thought it was a good week.
Yep.
So
And all deserving champions nonetheless.
Correct.
True. Executed at the time when it mattered most. So again, that wraps up NASCAR season. I'm not going to give it a too much time or a sad goodbye because it won't take long before, as we hop into off season, that we're going to be talking some storylines. We're going to be talking creating our own schedule, our own race. We're not going to NASCAR. We're going to be, what's up, friend?
Got a guest.
It won't be long and we'll be talking NASCAR again. So I'm not going to give it a so long farewell because we'll be talking about it again here soon. So
February 2nd.
February 2nd. Go back in
Bowman
action
Gray.
at Bowman Gray. So
if we're at all curious, 97 days to the Daytona 500.
2311. Yet to be determined if they're going to the Clash.
Or the 500.
Yikes. Don't sue NASCAR.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that wraps up officially the NASCAR season. Crazy how fast the season went. But again, we got 97 days, so till the 500. That's 7 days a week. That's
not many weeks.
7. I want to say, just under 11 weeks. So you're going to get about 10 episodes of off season from us, and we're still going to talk NASCAR. So really won't be much of an off season for NASCAR on the podcast. But any other final thoughts on the?
What is going on here?
Pat really wants to make an appearance.
I know.
Any other final thoughts on the championship weekend at Phoenix?
Nope.
No, good weekend.
Yep.
All right, then let's go to some race previews here. Again, racing season's winding down, so I'll kick it to, I'm guessing, Kellen, you're going to take the first one, and Van Grohl take the second one.
Yeah, we can do that. Looking ahead, Castrol Flow Racing Night in America getting ready to wrap up their season and crown a champ. They will have 2 nights of racing at the Sonoya Raceway for the Peach State Classic, Friday and Saturday, 15th, November 15th and 16th. That Saturday night feature, $35,000 to win. So big payday.
The USAC Midget Series, they're going to be racing at Placerville for the Hangtown 100. This is going on their final stretch of championship racing here. They're going to be racing 7 of the next 15 days to determine their championship on the USAC side. Kyle Larson was your winner at Placerville the last time that they raced here. There were a ton of driver announcements that USAC came out with, too many that we couldn't put it on here. So let's just say keep an eye on who's racing where, because there is a ton of drivers. So USAC's going to be getting good. This is another one where Flow Racing pays for itself.
Yep.
You got that right.
So looking forward to that one. Yeah.
This weekend alone, these got 2 different series. If you got 2 different screens, you can watch both of those on one on your TV, one on your computer, or one on your phone.
1 and 2 right here.
Yep.
And I will say, I do, as much as it pains me, I do enjoy this time of year because it does force you to broaden the horizon and watch some racing that you don't typically do. So whatever series that is, you just flip on Flow, and there's going to be some good racing on, and
yep.
You start broadening your horizon. You see some racing you've never seen before, and might find something you really like. So those will be 2 big races this weekend. So yeah, that about wraps up episode number 59. So
let's say I think we got 2 more matters of business to touch on real quick.
I was thinking we were going to skip that this week.
No? Well, we got to recognize the fantasy.
I'm kidding. Yeah.
So
let's get into it. We, again, for those who participated in the NASCAR Fantasy League, for us, again, fun way just to stay involved in the race, add a little bit more excitement. I don't know. Excitement. We'll just leave it at that. So again, the 3 Stones Pit Crew, we've been second year with our NASCAR fantasy, and it officially came to a conclusion, and we had some interesting results. So our tire changer Cam, he won the regular season with just over 7,000 points. I came in second. Those might be total points.
Yeah, those are total year-long points.
So again, now this is a case in point where I'll bitch about the playoff standings. This pisses me off. But anyways, tire changer had the 1 seed coming in. I was the 2 seed. Kellen was the 3 seed, and then I think it was Sophie's Pit Picks, Gasman's Girl, Dietzo. Those 3 were all neck and neck down there for the next 3 spots. But ultimately, the way it shakes out, our Jackman went on a heater, called his shot before the playoffs even, and said Logano's going to win it, and then doubled down with in the first week. He picked Logano to win the championship on the podcast. So Jackman just went on a heater and ultimately really gapped everybody in the playoff points, and he gets the crowning of the 2024 fantasy 3 Stones Pit Crew fantasy champion. He ended up having 21 points. These are points. He had 2,136. Van Grohl, our tire changer, had 2,036 or 2,006. I had 1957. Sophie's Pit Picks had 1761. Dietzo 1700. Gasman's Girl 1666. So he ends up winning the league by about an extra week there, 130 points. So
guys, did I go back to back? I certainly did.
Yeah, you did. that you did. Yeah, this playoff format's bullshit.
Yeah. Can't wait
If it
for
means
next year.
anything, I had 273 points for Phoenix, which is a damn good week.
That probably is, honestly, it probably is a season record for a single event
I think so.
for us.
Overall, though, looking at the overall point standings, just because I finished the top, I finished 3,929th out of all fantasy players in overall points.
Damn.
And
I
I'm going to say
was I was like 460 some odd points behind first place.
Yeah.
and I'm going to say one thing. I will. I'm just going to say this out. Next year, we're raising the stakes a little bit.
Oh God.
Don't know how we're going to raise the stakes, but we are. If we're going to throw in $10, something, I don't know. We're going to raise the stakes a little bit. And I will say from the old Gasman's crew, just total lapse in judgment and bad strategy call all year long. So we're going back to the fucking drawing board this offseason. Cannot be coming down to the playoffs or regular season, and you got uses left on Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, William Byron, and Alex Bowman. Can't be having that. So then you get down to the championship here, this race, and you're looking at the line going, wow, I totally missed it there with the amount of guys that I had uses left on. So,
Well, I appreciate you guys taking part in my 2-year adventure of what has been this fantasy app.
I mean,
that's fun,
me and
though.
me and Van Grohl, you can hang your head on that, but me and Van Grohl each got a regular season championship under our belt, so it's not like we're winless.
Yep.
Well, I ain't 2-2. I'm going to say that right now.
Jesus.
Before we wrap this thing up, I do want to say shout out. Went right over the NASCAR segment and didn't even acknowledge it. Martin Truex Jr. His final race as a full-time guy in the 19 Bass Pro Shops car. So at JGR. So
slick race car.
Slick race car. Again, another guy that's done it right. Easy guy to cheer for. Just hate when you don't announce that you're going on a victory tour the last year because it just never pans out. We went from Jimmy to Harvick and now Martin. These guys announced this their last year, and I don't know what the racing gods got against guys that are retiring. Maybe that's a racing god trying to tell them don't retire. Who knows? But again, he's retiring from full time. We're going to miss him, but he's already talking about a Daytona 500 car. So again, it's a guy that's retiring full time, but you ain't going to keep him away from the racetrack for long. You'll see him in an open car and back at a NASCAR event and NASCAR track soon. So,
touch on race picks here real quick.
Hold on, sorry. One more thing.
Jesus,
we got to shout out Tony Stewart too. Last weekend was Stewart Haas Racing. Those 4 cars hanging up, and again, I don't know if they as the season went along, I don't know if they quit inviting priests to events, but dude, what is going? Did anybody see the Stewart Haas tweet? That was
like, a picture of the
race car teammates become friends. Priest is nowhere to be found. Like, what are we doing? And then Gregson's radio post race, they had like all 4 Stewart Haas cars like kind of drive around. I think they did a lap or a half lap like together. Yep. The 4, the 14, and the 10 all on the track, and on the radio they go,
"Where's the 41?
Where's Priest?" He's got it parked in pit road.
And then the one guy goes, "This is my surprised face."
Yeah. So don't know what's going on there with Priest, but I guess maybe he's looking at his next stop in that 60 car with RFK, that um, potential news leak there a few weeks ago on there. But again, Stuart Haas last event as a team. So Tony Stewart is now officially done in the sport of NASCAR. So
Yep.
some
Okay,
big
race
names
pick.
officially. Yeah, officially some big names done with the sport.
Yep. Race picks really quick.
Yep. So I am sitting at 1911. Cam, you're at 1875, and Kellen, you're at 1798. Don't know what races we're gonna pick here yet, but we got a couple more that we will pick for here the rest of the year that will maybe shake up the standings a bit.
Yep. Dome and the Derby being two for sure.
Yep.
All right, so let's get into some race picks for Castro Flow Racing Night in America here.
Oh,
Kellen mentioned what? I'm trying to make up some ground.
We don't
a
have an
little
entry.
unprepared.
Yeah, we
Oh,
don't even have an
okay.
entry.
All right. You guys make me pick all the time without an entry list, but God forbid I make you guys pick a race without seeing an entry list. All right. No, I'm kidding. We don't have to pick it.
Well, maybe do the Bigley.
Yep.
Yeah, we can do Big
Pick
League.
when Bigley comes around.
Yep.
Okay, we'll
So
go
for the
then.
first time in a while, we are off on the race picks. No race picks for us. So, any other final thoughts on the episode you got for the people? Give them your thoughts.
No. Just now we're at the point in the year where if you have a subscription to tune in virtually now,
Yep.
got to the point where a lot of places, if you're lucky enough to have a track that's still running, absolutely got to get there. But we're finally to a place now that, especially in the north, it's just too cold to race. So maybe tuning into the big shows on your favorite racing subscription. So
Check out some of the docu-series that they got. A lot of people that put in a lot of hard work putting some documentaries together. Different videos like we talked about the Brian Clausen one on Flow Racing a while back. I know Dirt Version's got some as well.
yeah,
Just check them out. A lot of people put a lot of hard work into those.
yeah, for sure.
And again, find a series you haven't watched before, flip it on, and yeah, it won't be long, and we'll be getting another season 2 of NASCAR Full Speed. So that'll be dropping start of the new year. That'll get you ready for another year of NASCAR racing. So, any other final thoughts?
Nope.
Kellen's eager to get out of here because his friend wants to hang out. So,
Fun tonight.
yeah, that wraps up. Again, a championship episode for us, episode number 59. As always, don't be afraid to like, comment, and subscribe. Um, hit us with your best thoughts, predictions, whatever you got. And don't be afraid if you got an off-season topic. Hit us in the DMs on all the socials that we have. Get in the comments if you want us to talk about anything, talk about a series, an event, you name it. Not going to say we're going to do a good job, but we'll give it our best shot. So, thanks for listening. Don't be afraid. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see y'all next week for another episode.